Enough. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Chelsea FanCast. I am Stanford Chidge, and this is the daddy of Chelsea podcast, FanCast, call it what you like, fueled by Guinness, powered by celery, and the name of this show is the Chelsea Football FanCast Half-Term Report. I'm feeling very teacher-like, actually, tonight, because of that, possibly, but I don't know. Right, who have we got on the show tonight? We have Darren Mantle.
Good evening.
You're always very quiet when I introduce you, and then you get louder and louder and louder.
It's because you're always ready to say something bad about me, Chidge, so I'm just gearing up for it. So, good evening, Chidge. How are you?
I'm very well. Nice to see you. We've got Ross.
Evening, Chidge. Are you all right? All I can smell is lemsip.
Yeah, man. I'm hanging.
Lemsip and Guinness.
I'm not hardcore. I'm drinking lemsip, as is Pablo.
Indeed, yep. Voices going a bit, but how are you?
I thought you said you had voices in your head then, Pablo.
Well, that too. We won't talk about that.
Yes, we won't talk about that. Now, there is another gentleman, a fine gentleman here to my left, who is our special guest this week, and he's a very old mate of mine. He's been on the show several times, including the one that I did in Los Angeles. He used to be in a band called The Adventures.
That's correct.
They were in the 80s, it was, and that was in between standing in the shed end, of course, because he is, if nothing else, proper Chelsea. He's also, in fact, best known as a filmmaker, and he's made movies including Dogtown and the Z-Boys, the New York Cosmos, Once in a Lifetime, and, in my opinion, the definitive documentary on one of my favourite bands, The Who. He's also got a new film out this week all about Formula One called One, and we've got a trailer of it here, if you'd like to see that.
Nobody has ever seen a motor race like that.
In the early 70s, Formula One was a little bit of a circus act.
Fun, girls to die for.
A Grand Prix driver, the epitome of everything a kid would want to be.
From the drivers to the mechanics to the wives or the girlfriends, the camaraderie was very deep.
Safety wasn't even an issue. A designer's first requirement is to make it fast.
The racetracks hadn't changed, the medical facilities hadn't changed, and suddenly the cars were going almost twice as fast.
I jumped out the car. I remember then trying to get his belts and then just turned around and I knew it was all over.
Those cars were all effectively a mobile bomb. And the FIA, they'd say, well, if you think motor racing is dangerous, slow down a bit, don't drive so fast. I thought, I cannot believe that a world sport is run like this.
I think they thought we were gladiators. They were blind to the reality. They didn't know those drivers. They didn't know the drivers' wives and fathers and mothers.
It was a nightmare. We had to fight with the organizer, I mean, really fight.
The public doesn't want to see these heroes dying on television.
Something needed to be done.
The attitude changed.
The actual team mechanics were bolting the barriers together.
It was the seminal changing point in Formula One.
Whatever is happening to a car, there should be no reason to die in a car.
It's almost like you have control of the danger.
That's why it's such a fantastic sport. It pioneers the evolution of the car and going faster.
We are world champions! World champions!
Whoa, if that isn't an excuse for all of you lot who are listening to this show as a podcast or indeed live on Mixlr to actually watch what we do on YouTube, then I don't know what is. A warm welcome to legend and my mate, Paul Crowder. Round of applause.
No, please. It's my good side. Thanks for having me. It's an absolute honour to be on the show once again, and thanks for all your support.
No, man, it's a pleasure. And we're going to be talking all about the film, aren't we, much later in the show. I can't wait for that.
We'll do a bit of that.
Now, the other thing, of course, at this time of the day, we like to introduce what are commonly known as the benches. Hello, benches.
Hi.
How are we?
Good, thanks.
Who have we got this week? We've got Loza.
Hiya.
We've got Lizzie.
Hi.
We've got the Chadmeister.
Hello.
And we've got one Harry Baker. There's only one Harry Baker. Now, the other thing, of course, the most important thing that we need to tell you, actually, this is kind of slightly sad. And I might have to. A bit of water might come out of somewhere, preferably my eye. But it is, in fact, Loz's last show. And in honour of that momentous thing, I'm going to break all the rules of TV. Somebody will have to talk while I disappear, because I've got something for Loza. It's worth the wait. Commentate, Darren, commentate.
So, Mr. Crowder, about the film, I noticed it had Lewis Hamilton as well in
That's
the
enough,
left
Darren.
corner.
That's enough. That's enough.
There you go. Done now.
Lauren, because we love you and we're going to miss you. And we've got a card for you. And I tried to get the flowers as Chelsea-like as possible. Are they lovely?
Thank you.
I got like 8.
They're going to miss you, sweetheart, and that's for you. Big round of applause for Lauren! There we go. They don't do that on Soccer AM, do they? And that's probably why. We are so going to miss Lauren, and it's a special show because it is her last show tonight, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. She's going to be in the Mixlr chat room with you lot, saying her goodbyes. And other than that, if you want to be on the benches and join these mad people, all you have to do is you email us in the week and say, I would like to be on the benches, and you email chelseafancast@gmail.com. Now, as you've probably figured out, a slightly different show this week because there's been no games to talk about, and I refuse point blank to talk about any England games. So instead we're going to talk about Chelsea's season to date, which is why I've called it Halftime Report. You see, it's very clever, really. So if you want to join into all of that and basically talk to Lauren on Twitter @Chelsea FanCast, and you can also, of course, if you're listening live on Mixlr, join in at mixlr.com/Chelsea-Fancast. All very simple. And of course, while you're doing that, you can get your questions into us. That's the people round here. And of course, this lovely man here. For if you don't ask, you don't get. And you can do that by Skyping us. It would be very nice if once upon a time you actually bothered to Skype us. We do like that. All you have to do is add at chelsea.fancast is our Skype address. That's all you have to do. And of course, the Twitter and the Mixlr chat room, that's what that's all about. Now, we've got a few minutes left before we go to the next part. And I feel that we should really talk about some football.
Some what?
I know, it's strange but true. The thing is...
American football,
no, that's banned.
Okay.
Ross particularly...
Yeah, I'm up for that.
So like he was about to sort of dive in there. At the
you can stick your balls where the sun don't shine.
They're not really balls, are
No, it's not on the list. It's balls.
Yes, it is.
B-U, not A. Calm down. Anybody would have thought they'd been in the green room for 3 hours.
I haven't got any balls.
Yes, that's what I've been told.
Right,
I've
got 2 cows and a heifer.
Clever, I like that. Is that a kind of an LA joke?
No, it's
not
not
really.
mine, really.
Right, first thing I want
It's
to
a farmyard joke.
Order. The first thing I want to talk about, really, just to kind of get us into the swing, really, is to have a kind of a quick look at Chelsea's results to date. And I believe we have a beautifully formed graphic which can remind us of Chelsea's results. There we go. They're on the small screen, and there we go. Right. So we've beaten Hull 2-0 at home. I remember that. We played quite well. We beat Villa 2-1, which is a bit squeaky, as I recall. The weird match where we played with no striker, which was Jose making a point, I believe. We got beaten by Everton 1-0, which I'd rather not talk about. We beat Fulham fair and square 2-0. We drew with Spurs, where we of course turned things round in our inestimable opinion, and of course. We beat Norwich away 3-1, which was the most recent match. So it's been an interesting start, Pablo, hasn't it?
It has, and it's slowly, much like it has been in the past. And I think we're beginning to hopefully start seeing the better form now. We've got a few big games coming up in the next couple of weeks after Cardiff, particularly in the Champions League with Schalke. But it's definitely an upward curve, isn't it?
I mean, I think the thing to ask right now is, are you happy with how we've started?
Yeah, by and large, I think. I mean, it would have been a bit naive to have expected us to come out all guns blazing and throwing everyone apart, but have to wait and see. It's been all right.
You're all right. Yeah. You've got your Lemsip. You're going to be much better in a minute. Pablo, what are you at? Pablo, Darren. What? Somebody
are you?
This is supposed to be Lemsip, not Class A, for goodness sake. Darren.
Yeah, I think like Pablo said though. It's been a slow start, but I mean, I just can't believe the media have been saying about it being a bad start to the season. Drawing with United, losing at Goodison isn't really bad, and the same with, well, they said actually before we even drew away with Spurs. I don't know, I think it's been the better start than the media give credit for, but then they always want to knock Jose anyway, and Chelsea in general.
I think it's really interesting what you say, actually, mate, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think a lot of there has seemed to have been a lot of negativity about, how we've started, and a lot of digs at Jose. But I don't think it's just the media. I sense, particularly for somebody who's very avid at looking at social media, that a lot of the negativity comes from there. And a lot of people have been saying that they expected, they expect Jose to come back and win every game. And it's nonsense, isn't it? I mean, we were saying on the radio and stuff that actually, no, it's not like 2004. But what's it like over there, Paul?
Well, no, I mean, we're all the Chelsea fans I know back home. We're all much the same as you. We all, moan about the same things, and our biggest beef is the media, because that's really how we get all our, information is completely through the media, not having and more of the printed media than the visual media. And in the printed media, it really does seem like there's some sort of agenda, and I don't know if it's paranoia or not, but you can't expect Jose to come in and do an 8-0 start to a season.
I like that 8-0.
That's an American thing. I learned that in 24 years in America. 8-0. Like he did before, and those kind of beginnings. So, and it's a more realistic beginning. I think the only shock result for me was the Everton one. I think a previous Mourinho side would have probably got at least a draw out of that game.
Yeah, I think actually that's a really good point. That surprised me. Did that surprise you, Ross, losing to Everton?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I wouldn't expect us to lose against Everton on any given match day, but we had 3 tricky away fixtures to start the season, so it's not surprising we dropped points. If I was going to give us a grade, I'd probably give us a C, I think, for the start of the season. We've done some things well. But there's definitely room for improvement.
Well, interestingly enough, there's something that I'm going to reveal to the one viewer and listener after the break, which is going to be very interesting. Come back and see us in a few seconds' time.